Well, we have just witnessed one of the all-time Canadian sports press conferences, and funnily enough, it comes from an American, in Jesse Marsch, the Canadian men's national team manager who has truly become an adopted Canadian. Ever since taking over the Canada, Jesse Marsch has changed this team's fortunes and the sport's fortunes as a whole. But now, in the lead up to the Concacaf Nations League, during the press conference, Jesse Marsch was of course asked about the 51st state conversations as well as the lead up to the tournament. And Jesse Marsch responded as a true leader with great respect, but in absolute style as you would expect Jesse Marsch to. And we're going to break down the quotes and what Jesse Marsch said in that press conference, guys, and give you guys my thoughts and opinions on it. But before we do, guys, drop into the comments. Let me know your thoughts on Jesse Marsch, the press conference, as well as the channel and the content. Make sure to smash the like button. It really helps out the video as well as the channel, and smash that sub button. Let's continue to move to 600 subscribers. But Jesse Marsch, guys, in this press conference was asked about the 51st state conversation, how important the hockey game was in the Four Nations in that final between Canada and USA, where Canada, of course, won in the hockey game. But Jesse Marsch was asked about it all, as well as the lead up to this game, the lead up to the final, where Canada could meet the United States in the final. And Jesse Marsch, of course, being American, truly showed the respect and the leadership that he has. And with this response, how Jesse Marsch responded to the 51st conversation question truly just continues to build my confidence and respect in Jesse Marsch and how much of a leader he is of men and how much of a leader and quality manager he truly is. And the respect he must gain in the dressing room from this Canadian team must be so high. But we're going to break down the quote, what Jesse Marsch said in the press conference, guys, and we're going to dive straight into it because this is what Jesse Marsch said. Quote, "These international tournaments of Canada mean something different now. As an American, I'd like to address the 51st state discourse, which I find unsettling and frankly insulting. Canada is a strong, independent nation that's deeply rooted in decency, and it's a place that values high ethics and respect, unlike the polarized and disrespectful and often now hate-fueled climate that's in the US." That was the first part of his conversation, what he said to the response about the question. And it's unbelievable what Jesse Marsch had to say about his own country, where he was born. And now it just shows how much he feels to be Canadian. And going on to what Jesse Marsch ended up saying as well, Canada values a lot of fairness and unity. It's a place that I've learned as the Canada coach where people really believe that their differences make them stronger. And honestly, it's one of the things that I've enjoyed the most about our team is that they exemplify this as human beings and as a team. The fact Jesse Marsch talks so highly about this team, being the manager about this team, and what he has learned so far from his short period as the Canadian men's national team manager and head coach is truly unbelievable. Because when you get the American-Canadian crossover, sometimes you don't get this sort of respect. But the respect Jesse Marsch is showing as the Canadian men's national team manager is instrumental and truly is something that, as a supporter, makes me fall in love with the team even more, makes me fall in love with the manager even more, gives me confidence in this team, and just fuels you with excitement to get this team back out on the pitch and to watch them once again. Because when you have that belief in the manager, it just brings it down to the players as well, and it runs throughout the whole team, it runs throughout the whole organization. And hearing what Jesse Marsch says and the leadership, the respect he talks with is huge. But what he also goes on to say is even more exciting. He goes on to say this: "They're almost all first and second generation Canadians, coming from different heritage and cultures, but they uniquely are incredibly proud Canadian to represent their country, to give everything to each other and love that they have for each other and playing for their country." To me, this sounds very familiar to years past, right? So for me right now, I couldn't be prouder to be the Canadian national team coach. I found a place where that embodies, for me, the ideals, morals of what not just football and our team is, but what life is. And that's integrity, respect, and belief that great people can do great things. And yes, he goes on to speak, which we will dive into as well, but I have to stop at that paragraph and just deep it. The fact that Jesse Marsch talks about this squad as well as how he feels as a person about being the Canadian men's national team head coach, and where he has found something that embodies him as a person, that found a role that embodies him as a person as well, and found the country where he truly and the team that truly brings the best out of him, that gets what he gets on the pitch as well as outside of the pitch, is truly incredible. I don't think I've ever seen a manager, a head coach, talk so glowingly about a country, especially when you're talking about Canada, USA, the turmoil going on between the countries right now. The way Jesse Marsch talks about being the Canadian national team head coach is something I don't think we will ever see again from another manager, but it's something that I don't think I've ever seen before. The way he says, I found a place where that embodies me for the ideals and morals of what not just football and a team, but what life is. The fact he goes into it about football, but also outside of football, to feel so deeply about the team, and to feel so deeply about the culture of the team, but to feel so deeply about being an adopted Canadian or being a Canadian or feeling that respect for the country. It's something instrumental. When you're talking about a press conference leading up to a game, leading up to a major competition and tournament, you usually hear him talk about tactics, about styles of play. But the respect, the way he talks about this country, it fuels me with so much passion for this team, for this manager. And if anybody says we hired the wrong manager, they truly need to give their head a shake, because the way Jesse Marsch is talking about a country is something that I'm saying Jesse Marsch for Prime Minister, because the way he talks about this country, the way he talks about this team, the unity, the passion, the belief, the respect, the integrity, he uses all the words, and he just truly embodies everything that I want to have my club, to have my country managed by. But what he also goes on to say is absolutely incredible. If I have one message to our president, it's lay off a ridiculous rhetoric about Canada being the 51st state. As an American, I'm ashamed of the arrogance and the disrespect and disregard that we've shown one of our historically oldest, strongest, and most loyal allies. But one thing's for sure, when I look forward to a month from now, is I know this will fuel our team. And now, of course, guys, before we jump on and talk about the tournament as a whole and what Jesse Marsch had to say about it, it's incredible to hear what he had to say about the country, how he feels to be a Canadian, and I really do believe this is something TSN Sportsnet will look back at and be an all-time Canadian sports interview and press conference, because it is definitely up there. Going through such a turmoil between both of the countries that have been allies for so long, but the way he stands up as an American, as a head coach of the Canadian team, and talks about his own president, where he's from, in such a way, and talks so highly about the country where he's currently managing in, is unbelievable. And it's something I don't think we've ever seen. And I know I've said that already, but it's unbelievable to see. But Jesse Marsch talking about the tournament is very exciting as well. As he says, this will fuel the boys. Of course it will fuel the boys, because this team is incredible. The mentality, the belief, the strength they have is fantastic. But what he goes on to say is, the will we have to play for our country, the desire we have to go after this tournament in every way and to show on and off the pitch exactly what Canadian character is so obviously. I really look forward to the challenge for playing Mexico, but the tournament as a whole, and I guarantee that our team will be ready. And that is truly exciting, unbelievable to hear. And the respect, the loyalty, and the confidence that these players will have hearing what Jesse Marsch just said about their country. I don't blame Daniel Jebison and Promise David and Nico Seeger and Tanio Lawasi for changing countries. Jesse Marsch and Kevin Blue could convince me to do absolutely anything in this world. What they have just said, what Jesse Marsch had just gone out there and said in front of the Concacaf Nations League press conference, is something unforgettable, something I will never forget as a Canada supporter, as a Canadian supporter, and this is arguably one of the best press conferences we will ever see. But this is something that'll fuel this team. The hockey final was something that'll definitely fuel the Canada. I think it's going to translate to that final between Canada and USA as well. And the important thing is we get there, we beat Mexico, which is going to be a difficult challenge as well at SoFi. That's not going to be an easy game as well. But guys, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about Jesse Marsch's conversation with the 51st state, how he feels to be embodied as a Canadian, how this country with the integrity, respect, how he feels to be in the right country with a team that embodies the right mentality on and off the pitch. Let me know your thoughts about Jesse Marsch's press conferences and what you guys think about it. And let me know if you guys want me to continue to break down press conferences leading up to games, just in general around Jesse Marsch, because I definitely am interested and willing to do videos just like this once again, breaking down Jesse Marsch's press conferences and his quotes and what he has to say. Guys, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Drop a like, it really helps the video as well as the channel, and smash that sub button. Let's continue to move to 600 subscribers.